The evening sun fell gently over the golden roofs of Ora Kingdom. It was the season of peace, when yam barns were full and the drums of harvest echoed across the land. The wind carried laughter from the market square, the smell of roasted maize, and the chants of young maidens dancing before the palace gates. But far away, deep inside the thick, whispering forest of Eden, the air was heavy with sorrow. A cry rose above the hum of the forest. It was the cry of a newborn child, tender, sharp, and desperate. Beneath a giant iroko tree, a young woman lay weak upon the forest floor, her wrapper soaked with sweat and blood. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Even the crickets fell silent. Her lips trembled as she lifted her eyes toward the sky, where the last light of day bled into dusk. "O gods of the land and forest," she whispered, her voice fading like smoke, "protect my only child. Favor her wherever she goes. Let her light shine before men. Let no harm come to her." Then her eyes closed forever. The forest grew quiet, as though the trees themselves bowed their heads in mourning. An owl hooted once from the shadows, and the wind carried her final prayer away. But the gods had heard. Not long after, a hunter named Okoro passed that same path. Okoro was no ordinary man, tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes, his bow strong and the calm of a river after rain. He hunted not for pride or sport, but to feed his people. As he pushed through the tall grasses, his ears caught the soft cry of a baby. He turned sharply, bow in hand, thinking it might be the trick of a spirit. But when he reached the clearing, he saw the lifeless woman and the crying infant beside her. Okoro's heart melted. He dropped his bow and bent down. "Oh, poor child," he murmured, lifting her gently. "The gods have left you all alone in this cold world. But do not weep, from today, I shall be your father." He buried the woman under the roots of the iroko tree, wrapping her body with leaves and saying a simple prayer. "May the earth be soft upon you, woman of sorrow. Your seed shall not be forgotten." Then he carried the baby home in his animal skin pouch. Okoro named the child Adis, meaning daughter of the king. Years passed, and Adis grew under the hunter's loving care. His hut stood at the edge of the forest, where the trees whispered to the wind and the stream sang all day. She was not like other children. Her skin glowed like ripe palm fruit in the sun. Her eyes sparkled with strange light, and her laughter carried peace wherever it went. Her hair, long and black, flowed like river water and was often adorned with cowries that shone like moonlight. But there was more. Things happened around her. Everyone who saw her said she was not an ordinary child. When Okoro went to hunt, animals seemed to walk into his traps without struggle. When he farmed, rain fell exactly when needed. The rivers near their home never dried. People began to say, "Okoro's daughter is a child of the gods." He loved her deeply. His wife had died long ago, and he had refused to remarry. Adis filled his empty heart. Every evening, they sat by the fire as Okoro told her tales of the forest spirits, talking animals, and ancestors who watched over men. But Adis carried a mystery. One morning, before the sun rose, she woke Okoro and said, "Father, do not go to the forest today. I saw the trees whispering and the ground shaking. Danger waits." Okoro trusted her. He stayed home that day. By evening, news reached the village that a tree had fallen across the hunting path, crushing the spot where he would have passed. From that day, people began to say, "The gods speak through Okoro's daughter." And each time he obeyed, something terrible would happen where he should have gone: a wild animal's attack, a falling tree, a hunter lost. Word spread across villages, Okoro's daughter sees the unseen. Soon, even the king of Orwa, King Ikena, a wise and just ruler, heard of her. King Ikena ruled with a fair hand. His voice was calm, his heart gentle, and his name was spoken with respect in every heart. He built schools, shared food with the poor, and punished corruption without favor. But though he had sons and daughters, his heart was empty. He often looked out of his palace window and sighed. His chiefs thought he missed his late wife, but the truth lay deeper. He felt a hollow space that even a throne could not fill. Then one morning, news spread that Okoro the hunter had been killed by a wild boar. His death shook the land. The people mourned the man whose traps never failed and whose kindness touched many. Adi sat beside his grave for days, her eyes swollen with tears. She had lost the only father she knew. When the news reached the palace, King Ikena sent his guards to bring her to him. The moment he saw her, he froze. Something stirred deep within him, a strange familiarity he could not explain. Her face, her calmness, her gaze, it was as if he was looking at a piece of his forgotten past. "My daughter," the king said softly, placing his hand upon her head, "from this day, you shall live in my palace and be called my child." Adis knelt, tears rolling down her cheeks. "May the gods bless you, my father." From that day, she lived among the royal household. Her presence brought peace and joy. Even the palace birds sang sweeter songs. But strange things continued to happen. When Adis prayed, the skies seemed to listen. The kingdom's farms flourished. Rain came exactly when it was needed. The rivers overflowed with fish. Peace spread across borders. One night, the king called her privately. "My daughter," he said, "the things you do, the power you carry, where do they come from?" Adi smiled gently. "Father, I do not know. I only dream, and the dreams speak to me. The gods show me things before they happen." King Ikena was amazed. From that day, he began to seek her counsel before every great decision. Her visions guided him to victory in battle and peace in disputes. The people began to call her the voice of the gods. Many years passed. Orwa became the richest and most peaceful kingdom in all the lands. Traders came from far away, bringing gold, spices, and fine cloth. The people sang praises of their king and the mysterious princess who carried divine grace. Then one moonlit evening, a messenger arrived with an invitation, a grand feast hosted by Obanedo, the neighboring king of the kingdom of Ogoja. It was to be a gathering of kings, a time of laughter, drums, and fine wine. King Ikena, proud and joyful, went with his chiefs. The feast lasted deep into the night. The wine was sweet, dangerously sweet, and the king drank more than he ever had before. When he finally returned to Orwa, his steps were heavy, his mind clouded. Servants rushed to help him, but in his drunken confusion, he wandered down the wrong corridor. The gods must have turned their faces away that night. For his steps led him into Adi's room. What happened in that dark hour is known only to the spirits. But when the morning came and the wine had left his head, the king awoke, and his heart shattered into pieces. He had done something unspeakable. He wept in silence, unable to face the gods or himself. Adis, once radiant, became quiet and withdrawn. Her eyes lost their light. The voice of the gods that once guided her went silent. Soon after, the kingdom began to change. Crops failed. Rivers dried. Sickness spread among the people. Enemies rose from the borders. Whispers filled the land, the gods are angry. In his guilt, King Ikena went to the high priest, a man older than time, whose white hair glowed like moonlight. He knelt before him and confessed everything, his shame, his sorrow, his sin. The priest listened silently, his eyes closed, his lips moving in secret prayer. After a long silence, he sighed deeply and said, "My king, you have committed a great abomination. But the gods are not only angry because you touched the seer, they are angry because she is your blood." The king froze. "My blood? What are you saying?" The priest's voice grew heavy. 25 years ago, when you were still a crown prince, there was a maiden who served in your father's palace. She was gentle and beautiful, but you defiled her and denied it. She was banished, pregnant and alone. That woman gave birth to Adis, the child you call daughter. King Ikena's body trembled. He fell to the ground, pounding the earth. "O gods of my fathers! What have I done?" Tears flooded his eyes. The priest raised his hand. "You have sinned against the gods, against the land, and against your own blood. The curse upon Ora will not lift until you redeem your soul. You must choose one of three paths. The first, confess before your people and marry the spirit of the woman you wronged. The second, banish yourself from this kingdom forever. The third, go to the cave of snakes and bring 7 living serpents in a calabash for the cleansing ritual." The king's heart pounded like thunder. After a long silence, he said, "I will go to the cave of snakes. Let the gods judge me there." Before dawn, King Ikena dressed like a hunter. No royal robe, no crown, only a tattered cloth, a bow, and a calabash. The priest gave him charms for protection, one to command beasts, one to call the earth to his aid, and one to speak to spirits of the wild. He set out alone. Through forests and valleys, through rivers and thorn paths, he walked. Wild animals crossed his path, but none touched him. Each time danger came, he whispered the priest's incantation. "Spirits of air and stone, I walk not in pride but penance. Let the way open before the child of Eri." For 7 days he journeyed. Hunger gnawed at his belly. His body bled from thorns. But his spirit burned with remorse. At last, he reached the cave of snakes, a dark, steaming place where no man dared to go. The air hissed with the sound of thousands of serpents. Kneeling, the king poured libation and spoke. "O gods, I come not as a king but as a sinner. Forgive my hand and cleanse my land." He placed the charms upon the ground. Slowly, the snakes slithered out, red, black, green, and golden. They circled him, tongues flickering. One by one, as he chanted, they crawled into the calabash until 7 were inside. The earth trembled. The wind stilled. The gods had accepted. Exhausted but grateful, King Ikena began his journey home. His heart was light, his steps steady. He could already see the palm trees that marked the border of Ora. But as the sun burned above him, thirst tormented his throat. He came upon a stream, cold, clear, and inviting. He set down the calabash carefully and bent to drink. The water was sweet. He drank deeply, thanking the gods. But when he turned back, the lid of the calabash had moved. One snake had escaped. His breath caught. Sweat poured down his face. He reached to close it, too late. The snake struck. Its fangs buried deep into his hand. He screamed, stumbling backward as the calabash fell. The other snakes hissed and slithered away into the grass. Pain shot through his arm like fire. His vision blurred. He tore herbs from the ground, chewed them, pressed them to the wound, nothing worked. The poison was too strong. He staggered toward the border, crawling on his knees. The great tree swayed as if mourning. At the edge of his kingdom, he whispered with his last breath. "Forgive me, Adis, forgive me, Ora." Then he fell still. The next morning, a young hunter found his body. The calabash lay beside him, broken. The news spread through the land like wildfire. The drums of mourning filled the air once again. Chiefs tore their wrappers, maidens wept. The people buried the king at the boundary of the kingdom as the priest instructed. 7 days later, his son was crowned the new ruler of Ora. But on the seventh night, strange lights appeared in the sky above the king's grave. They danced like flames, blue and white. The villagers whispered, "The spirits are restless." At that moment, Adi stood alone in her chamber, tears on her face. She lifted her hands to the heavens and prayed, "O gods of my mother, let my father's soul find peace. Let Ora rise again." A cool breeze swept through the land, carrying the scent of rain. That night, for the first time in many moons, the skies opened. The rain fell softly over Ora, washing the land clean. Now, does the rain really swept away the sins of the father? Watch out for part 2, where the new king faces the curse left behind, and Adi's destiny as the child of the gods begins to unfold. Please let us know where you are watching from, leave a comment below, we love to hear from you. Please like the video and share with your family and friends. Please also subscribe to this channel so we can bring more videos to you. Thanks for being part of us.